Ms. Chu for 5 minutes.
Secretary Bessent, my constituents are sick with worry about losing their health care coverage. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office just determined that more people will lose their coverage. 16 million people will lose their coverage as a result of this big, ugly bill, which will be the largest loss of health care coverage for people in American history. Now, Republicans are saying that this will all be accomplished by cutting out waste, fraud, and abuse. But we should not be fooled. This is accomplished by 30 different measures, including increasing the amount of red tape that people will have to go through just to stay on Medicaid and on the Affordable Care Act, or the ACA. In addition, the CBO says that this bill will cost Medicare over $500 billion. I think of the many grandmothers and grandfathers who need nursing facilities as they face various illnesses like dementia or Alzheimer's. In my district, 62% of them rely on Medicaid to get any kind of care. But this bill requires all kinds of new paperwork to stay on these programs, including paperwork for seniors seeking to dually enroll in Medicaid and Medicare. Where will these seniors go if they lose their Medicaid because they didn't file yet another form, all while having dementia? This is a life or death situation. But I guess Republicans believe, as Senator Jody Ernst said, well, we're all going to have to die. And then there is the ACA. I remember what it was like before the ACA, where people could not get health insurance if they had a pre-existing condition, like everyday conditions like asthma or even pregnancy. The ACA provided tremendous relief to millions. But this big, ugly bill will require even more red tape to stay on the ACA. It demands that 2.5 million people, like gig workers, like Uber drivers, who don't even know what they'll earn in a week accurately, estimate their income for the next year. It requires people to re-enroll year after year rather than having an automatic enrollment, which is not required by any health insurance or Medicare. It reduces enrollment periods so it can cut people off the program. And it takes away the premium tax credits that helped millions of families afford health coverage. And that is why at the hearing for this bill, I introduced an amendment to strike the provisions that undermine the coverage of the ACA. Every single Republican on this committee voted no. So Secretary Bessent, I'm asking you a question in which I only want a yes or no answer. How would you have voted on my amendment to protect the ACA and keep millions on their health insurance?
No.
Okay, that makes it clear. And Secretary Bessent, I'd like to address the reason that 16 million people are going to lose their health care coverage. It's so that millionaires and billionaires can get big tax giveaways and become even richer. The nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation just this week found that if this bill becomes law, the richest 5% of taxpayers in this country will get a bigger tax cut than the bottom 80% of taxpayers combined. To put dollar amounts on it, someone earning $1 million will get a tax giveaway of $81,500 in just 1 year, while someone earning less than $50,000 can only expect $265 in 1 year, which is only 73 cents a day. That millionaire will get a tax cut in 1 day that's almost as big as what the middle-class person will get over the entire year. And of course, this does not account for the burden of paying more for basic necessities because of Trump's tariffs, nor does it account for the loss of life-saving benefits like Medicaid coverage or SNAP food assistance. When the University of Pennsylvania included the benefit cuts into their analysis, they found that the poorest 20% of households in this country will lose $30,000 over their lifetime if this bill gets signed into law. It's quite literally a reverse Robinhood scheme, taking from the poor and giving to the ultra-rich. That's why I had an amendment that said there should not be tax giveaways for those earning more than $10 million per year. And so, Secretary Bessent, I only want a yes or no answer. Would you have voted yes or no on my amendment?
Again, no.
I yield back.